September 1944. Near the French village of Aricourt, German tank crews of the elite 5th Panzer Army couldn't believe their luck. Through their gunners' sights, they counted dozens of American M4 Sherman tanks, the very machines they'd been trained to destroy with ease. According to captured German communications documented in U.S. Army after-action reports, Panzer commanders actually radioed jokes to each other about target practice and American coffins on tracks. Their confidence wasn't baseless. Official German military records show their Panther tanks carried 75mm guns that could penetrate Sherman armor from over 2,000 yards, while Sherman 75mm rounds bounced off Panther frontal armor even at point-blank range. German tankers had spent months devastating Allied armor across France. Their combat manuals literally called encounters with Shermans favorable engagement scenarios. What happened next is documented in one of the most shocking statistical reversals in armored warfare history. According to official U.S. Army Center of Military History records, in just 11 days of fighting, these supposedly inferior American Sherman tanks destroyed 281 German tanks and 90 more armored vehicles. The German 5th Panzer Army was effectively annihilated. The 4th Armored Division's casualties? Just 25 tanks lost. That's an 11-to-1 kill ratio. Against technically superior German armor. Documented by both American and captured German records. German Panzer crews who survived interrogations, their accounts preserved in National Archives files, described their shock as impossible and completely contrary to training. But how did American crews in inferior Shermans achieve one of history's most devastating tank victories? To understand this incredible documented reversal, military historians point to 3 factors German intelligence completely missed. German tank crew confidence in autumn 1944 was backed by 5 years of documented battlefield dominance. Official Wehrmacht training manuals, now preserved in the Bundesarchiv in Freiburg, stated that Panther tanks could engage enemy armor at ranges where return fire was physically impossible. The technical specifications justified this arrogance. According to U.S. Army ordnance testing reports captured after the war, the German Panther's 75mm KWK 42L/70 gun could penetrate 138mm of armor at 1,000 yards. The Sherman's frontal armor? Just 51mm on early models, 64mm on improved versions. German gunners trained using tables that calculated Sherman kills at ranges exceeding 2,000 meters. Their 16-week specialized tank training program, compared to America's 12 weeks, drilled crews relentlessly on long-range precision gunnery. Their combat record reinforced this superiority. British military liaison reports from Operation Goodwood in July 1944, just 2 months before Aricourt, documented how German tank units destroyed 314 British tanks, many of them Shermans, in a single day near Cannes. German after-action reports from that battle, translated and filed in British National Archives document DEF 2/329, include multiple references to simple work and shooting gallery conditions. By September 1944, according to German 5th Panzer Army intelligence summaries discovered in captured records, Wehrmacht tactical doctrine had evolved to view Sherman encounters as resource recovery operations. They were so confident of victory that engagements were planned around capturing intact American equipment and fuel. Individual German tank commanders had proven combat records. The 113th Panzer Brigade, facing the 4th Armored at Aricourt, included veterans of the Eastern Front with documented kill counts exceeding 20 Soviet tanks each. Their commander, Oberst Johann Heinrich Freiherr von Luttwitz, had personally destroyed 28 Allied tanks in previous engagements according to Wehrmacht personnel records. German military intelligence assessments from September 12, 1944, just 6 days before Aricourt, are preserved in captured documents at the National Archives. They estimated American Sherman units could be defeated at engagement ratios of 3-to-1 or even 4-to-1 in Germany's favor. One intelligence officer wrote that American tank units represented more of a logistics target than a combat threat. But while German commanders studied their technical manuals, U.S. Army records show the 4th Armored Division had been quietly revolutionizing tank warfare through methods no training manual predicted. The American Sherman tank's reputation in 1944 was, according to official records, abysmal. British tankers had nicknamed it the Tommy Cooker, a reference to its tendency to catch fire when penetrated. American crews called their Shermans Zippos after the cigarette lighter and worse, death traps. These weren't just dark jokes. They were documented in official morale reports filed by U.S. Army unit chaplains and preserved in National Archives records. The statistics seem to support the pessimism. According to U.S. Army Ordnance Department testing conducted at Aberdeen Proving Ground in 1944, a standard Sherman 75mm gun could not penetrate Panther frontal armor at any combat range. The official test report, Aberdeen Proving Ground Report No. 1945-2, now declassified, stated plainly, M4 75mm penetration insufficient against German heavy armor at ranges beyond 200 yards. Belton Cooper, a maintenance officer with the 4th Armored Division, documented the human cost in his memoir Death Traps, based on official maintenance records he kept throughout the campaign. Cooper's daily logs show that Shermans hit by German 75mm or 88mm rounds had an 80% chance of catching fire, compared to just 15% for German tanks hit by Sherman rounds. Of Sherman crews that suffered penetrating hits, official casualty records show 67% became casualties, killed or wounded. British military assessments shared through Allied command channels were even more damning. A British Second Army report from August 1944, filed in National Archives document W02055, concluded that Shermans required 5-to-1 numerical superiority to engage German Panthers with acceptable loss rates. The report recommended avoiding direct tank-versus-tank combat whenever possible. American industrial production compensated for individual tank inferiority. U.S. factories produced 49,234 Sherman tanks during the war compared to Germany's 6,000 Panthers. But even Allied Supreme Commander Eisenhower expressed concerns in private correspondence preserved at the Eisenhower Presidential Library. In a September 1944 letter to Army Chief of Staff George Marshall, Eisenhower wrote that American tank forces faced severe technical disadvantages and questioned whether numerical superiority could compensate. Yet classified planning documents from 4th Armored Division Headquarters, now declassified and available at the Army Heritage and Education Center, reveal that commanders had developed revolutionary tactics that would turn every Sherman disadvantage into a lethal advantage. The 4th Armored Division's transformation from standard tank unit to elite armored force is documented in extraordinary detail through the personal papers of its commander, Major General John S. Wood, now housed at the U.S. Army Heritage and Education Center. Wood's operational journals reveal a commander who deliberately rejected conventional tank doctrine. Where official U.S. Army training manuals from Fort Knox emphasized defensive positioning and long-range gunnery, Wood's combat orders, preserved in division records, stressed exactly the opposite: aggressive movement, close engagement, combined arms violence of action. According to the division's official history, compiled in 1945 from daily operational logs, Wood told his commanders, "We don't trade steel for steel. We trade speed and coordination for German armor." The tactical innovation was revolutionary. Official after-action reports from the 4th Armored show they organized into flexible combat commands, combined arms task forces mixing tanks, armored infantry, artillery, and engineers. This contrasted sharply with German rigid organizational structures documented in captured Wehrmacht doctrine manuals, where Panzer battalions operated independently from infantry and artillery. Communication technology gave Americans a decisive edge that German intelligence failed to appreciate. According to U.S. Army Signal Corps technical reports, every Sherman in the 4th Armored Division was equipped with an SCR 510 FM radio allowing real-time coordination between tanks, infantry, artillery, and even fighter bombers overhead. Captured German reports from the Battle of Aricourt, now in the Bundesarchiv, express shock at American coordination speed. One German after-action report states, "American forces appear to communicate instantly across entire battlefield." Unknown how this is achieved. The Germans, by contrast, relied heavily on pre-planned operations. Bundesarchiv records show that in 1944, only command tanks in German units had radios, with other tanks using flags and hand signals. Radio silence was emphasized in German doctrine to prevent Allied intercepts. But this meant German tanks couldn't adapt when plans went wrong. Artillery integration was another documented American advantage. The 4th Armored Division pioneered procedures where forward observers and tanks could call artillery strikes within 3 minutes of identifying targets. Official Field Artillery Battalion records show they developed pre-registered fire zones that allowed instant artillery support. At Aracourt, according to division artillery reports, American gunners fired over 11,000 rounds in coordinated support of tank attacks. Perhaps most devastating was tactical air coordination. Declassified Tactical Air Command procedures from 19TC, supporting 3rd Army and the 4th Armored, show fighter bombers could be overhead attacking German positions within 15 to 20 minutes of radio requests from tank commanders. Combat camera footage from P-47 Thunderbolts, preserved at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force, shows devastation of German columns trying to maneuver against 4th Armored positions. But the true innovation was psychological and tactical, documented in captured German interrogation reports. The 4th Armored didn't fight the way Germans expected. Official U.S. doctrine emphasized defensive positions and long-range gunnery, playing to the Panther's strengths. Wood's division did the opposite. Aggressive flanking maneuvers at high speed, closing to ranges where Sherman guns could penetrate, hitting German supply columns and artillery positions instead of tanks. As German panzer forces moved confidently toward Aracourt in mid-September 1944, intelligence reports preserved in Wehrmacht archives show they expected a conventional defensive battle. They had no idea they were about to encounter tactics their entire military doctrine had never anticipated. September 18, 1944, 0600 hours. According to 4th Armored Division operations logs maintained by the Division G2 Intelligence Section, forward observers reported large armored formations moving through the fog toward American positions near Aracourt. The German offensive had begun exactly as ultra-intelligence intercepts, decoded messages from Bletchley Park now declassified, had predicted 3 days earlier. German confidence radiated through intercepted radio communications preserved in National Security Agency historical archives. At 0545 hours, German 113th Panzer Brigade commander radioed his assault plan using standard Wehrmacht codes that Allied codebreakers read in near real time. The message included the phrase "expect light resistance, American tank units withdrawing," according to NSA translation documents. The German plan, reconstructed from captured documents now in the Bundesarchiv, was straightforward and conventional. Mass armor thrust along the Aracourt-Lunéville road, overwhelm American positions through superior firepower, reach the Moselle River and block Patton's 3rd Army advance. Intelligence summaries. Estimated American strength at approximately 1 armored battalion with inferior Sherman tanks. German planners allocated 262 tanks, Panthers and Panzer IVs from 2 elite brigades, to destroy what they believed would be 40 to 50 American tanks. What German intelligence failed to detect is documented in 4th Armored Division tactical maps preserved at the Army Heritage Center. Major General Wood had positioned his combat commands not in linear defensive positions, as German doctrine predicted, but in mutually supporting strong points with pre-surveyed artillery zones covering every approach route. Every road, every tree line, every possible German axis of advance had been measured, marked and registered for artillery fire. Weather conditions seemed to favor the Germans. Meteorological records from September 18, 1944, maintained by Army Air Force's weather stations, show dense fog reducing visibility to under 200 yards, perfect conditions for German armor to close the range and negate American air support. German operational orders, captured after the battle, specifically referenced weather forecasts and noted air threat negligible. But radio logs from 4th Armored Division's liaison officers with 19 Tactical Air Command, preserved in Air Force historical archives, show fighter-bomber squadrons were on immediate alert at forward airfields, ready to launch the moment fog lifted. P-47 Thunderbolt combat camera footage timestamps show aircraft overhead within 30 minutes of visibility clearing. At 0700 hours, according to division operations journals, American forward observers reported German tanks advancing in column formation down the main road, exactly the favorable formation for concentrated American defensive fire. One observer's report, quoted in official records, stated, "Enemy tanks advancing without reconnaissance. Estimate 50-plus vehicles. They don't know we're here." At 0725 hours on September 18, official combat records show the first German Panthers came within range of hidden American positions. What happened in the next 60 minutes would shatter German tactical doctrine. 0725 hours, September 18, 1944. According to Combat Command A's after-action report, filed by Colonel Clark and now preserved in National Archives records, lead German Panthers reached the designated kill zone 800 yards from concealed American positions. Clark's operational log records his radio order at 0726. "All units, weapons free. Fire on my command." The battle that followed is documented with extraordinary precision through multiple sources: tank commander reports, artillery fire mission logs, and even combat camera footage. At 0728 hours, according to coordinated timestamps and official records, 37 Sherman tanks of the 37th Tank Battalion opened fire simultaneously on the lead German column while artillery battalions dropped pre-registered concentrations on following German units. The effect was devastating. Staff Sergeant Lafayette Poole's tank crew, whose combat record is documented in official commendation citations, knocked out 3 Panthers in the first 4 minutes of engagement. Poole's gunner, later interviewed for official Army history, described firing 6 rounds in rapid succession at ranges under 900 yards, hitting German tank sides and rear armor where Sherman guns could penetrate. German accounts, preserved in prisoner interrogation reports, describe complete tactical shock. A captured Panther commander from 113th Panzer Brigade told interrogators, "We thought positions were empty. Then everything fired at once. We couldn't locate enemy positions through smoke and fog. Our return fire was blind." The tactical pattern repeated throughout the engagement is documented in Combat Command operational summaries. American tanks wouldn't engage German frontal armor at long range, playing to German strengths. Instead, 4th Armored units used terrain and speed to force close-range engagements, hitting German flanks and rear armor. Artillery fire disrupted German formations while American tanks maneuvered for killing shots. Artillery records tell their own devastating story. The 22nd Armored Field Artillery Battalion, supporting Combat Command A, fired 1,847 rounds on September 18 alone according to battalion fire mission logs. Forward observer reports, preserved with artillery records, describe German tank columns halting under artillery concentrations, unable to maneuver effectively while under continuous fire. When fog lifted around 1,000 hours, confirmed by meteorological station logs, tactical air power joined the destruction. 19 Tactical Air Command mission reports document 58 P-47 Thunderbolt sorties against German armored units that day. Combat camera footage, preserved at the Air Force Historical Research Agency, shows repeated rocket and strafing attacks on German columns attempting to withdraw. By 1200 hours September 18, according to Division G2 intelligence summaries, the German 113th Panzer Brigade had ceased to exist as an effective fighting force. Official German records captured after the battle show the brigade lost 43 of 88 tanks in the first day's fighting. Interrogation reports quote the brigade commander describing the engagement as incomprehensible and against all tactical expectations. But the Battle of Aricourt continued for 11 more days as German commanders committed additional forces, refusing to believe initial reports. September 19, 111th Panzer Brigade committed, lost 25 tanks according to German casualty reports. September 20th, German counterattack near Rechicourt repulsed, 31 more German tanks destroyed per American after-action reports. The final statistics, compiled by 4th Armored Division G2 and verified through aerial reconnaissance photographs preserved in archives, documented a historically lopsided victory, 281 German tanks destroyed, 90+ other armored vehicles wrecked, over 3,000 German casualties. American losses, 25 Shermans destroyed, 89 American casualties. The immediate tactical victory was clear in casualty counts and smoking German wreckage. But captured German documents and interrogation reports reveal the psychological impact was even more devastating. The German tactical collapse at Aricourt wasn't just numerical, it was psychological and doctrinal. Captured documents from 5th Panzer Army headquarters, now preserved in the Bundesarchiv, show a headquarters in denial and then panic as casualty reports accumulated. September 20th Situation Report from 5th Panzer Army to German Army Group G, translated in U.S. Army intelligence summaries, states, American tank units demonstrating unexpected combat effectiveness. Losses severe. Request additional armor reinforcement. 2 days later, September 22nd, the tone had changed dramatically. American armored tactics appear superior to intelligence assessments. Enemy coordination of all arms unprecedented. Recommend defensive posture. Prisoner of war. Interrogation reports, compiled by 3rd Army G2 and filed in National Archives records, reveal the human dimension of German shock. A captured Panther commander from 111th Panzer Brigade, interrogated September 25, told American intelligence officers, "We were told American tank crews were poorly trained and equipment inferior. Everything we were told was wrong. They fight like they can read our minds." Another German tanker, whose interrogation report is preserved in intelligence and prisoner of war interrogation files, described American tactics as impossible according to our training. They move while shooting accurately. They coordinate with artillery and aircraft instantly. They attack from unexpected directions continuously. We couldn't adapt. The tactical advantage that German doctrine said German tanks possessed, long-range gunnery superiority, became meaningless. Multiple interrogation reports reference German tankers' frustration that American Shermans refused to fight at long range and instead appeared everywhere at close range where our armor advantage meant nothing. Perhaps most damaging to German morale was the realization that their casualty reports were accurate, not exaggerated. A September 26 German intelligence assessment, captured and translated in U.S. archives, attempted to explain losses by claiming American forces must have been reinforced with new model heavy tanks or British armor units. German intelligence refused to believe standard Sherman tanks had achieved the documented results. By September 29, official German records show 5th Panzer Army ordered general withdrawal. The operational order, captured intact and filed in captured document collections, references unsustainable casualties and unanticipated American tactical advantages. The order explicitly warns subordinate units to avoid decisive engagement with American armored forces pending tactical reassessment. Official U.S. Army strategic assessments, compiled by 3rd Army Headquarters and forwarded to Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, documented that Aricourt's impact extended far beyond one battlefield. The immediate strategic impact of Aricourt is documented in 3rd Army operational reports forwarded to 12th Army Group and SHEF headquarters. General Patton's after-action summary, preserved in his official papers at the Library of Congress, stated, 4th Armored Division has demonstrated that American armor, properly employed, is superior to German armor in all tactical situations. This victory eliminates concerns about Sherman tank effectiveness. The battle enabled accelerated 3rd Army operations documented in operational planning files from October 1944. With German armored reserves destroyed, 3rd Army advanced toward the German border with reduced opposition. Operations logs show the 4th Armored Division alone advanced 75 miles in early October, liberating Nancy and pushing toward the Saar River, advances that planning documents had estimated would take months against intact German armor. German military intelligence assessments, captured in document collections and now in the Bundesarchiv, show forced doctrinal revision. An October 15, 1944 German tactical directive, issued to all panzer units on the Western Front, warns, American 4th Armored Division and potentially other U.S. armored units employ aggressive combined arms tactics that negate German technical advantages. Defensive engagements preferred. Avoid close-range tank combat with American forces. This represented a complete reversal of German doctrine, which previously emphasized offensive armor operations. U.S. Army intelligence summaries from late 1944 note with satisfaction that German tank units were now fighting defensively, exactly the opposite of their training and doctrinal strengths. Allied command confidence increased measurably. Strategic correspondence between Eisenhower and Marshall, preserved at the Eisenhower Presidential Library, shifted from concerns about tank effectiveness to confidence in Allied armor capabilities. An October 1944 Eisenhower letter states, "Recent armored operations demonstrate that American tactical doctrine and crew training compensate for any technical disadvantages our tanks may possess." The operational impact became critical 3 months later during the Battle of the Bulge. When German forces surrounded Bastogne in December 1944, Supreme Headquarters selected the 4th Armored Division for the relief operation based directly on their documented performance at Aricourt. Division records show the selection was made within hours of Bastogne's encirclement. The 4th Armored's reputation preceded them. The relief of Bastogne, accomplished December 26, 1944 according to official operational records, validated the tactical lessons of Aricourt. Combat Command R of the 4th Armored broke through German encirclement using the same aggressive combined arms tactics, proving Aricourt was doctrine, not accident. But military historians and professional military education institutions document that Aricourt's significance extends beyond immediate operational impacts to fundamental lessons about armored warfare that remain relevant today. The Battle of Aricourt occupies a unique position in military history academic literature as a decisive validation of combined arms doctrine over technical superiority. The U.S. Army Command and General Staff College's 1982 study, The 4th Armored Division in the Encirclement of Nancy, concludes, Aricourt demonstrated that tactical excellence, superior training and combined arms integration could overcome significant technical disadvantages in equipment. Post-war analysis by German military historians adds perspective from the defeated side. A 1956 study by the German Military History Research Office, translated and filed in U.S. Army Historical Archives, stated, "The American 4th Armored Division's victory at Aricourt represented the first clear battlefield demonstration that Wehrmacht tactical doctrine had been surpassed by Allied combined arms concepts. This lesson, learned at devastating cost, was not effectively transmitted to other German units before war's end. The battle influenced fundamental changes in U.S. Army doctrine documented in official publications. The 1949 Field Manual FM 17-100 Armored Division incorporated lessons directly from 4th Armored Division operations, according to the manual's historical notes. Sections on combined arms coordination, radio communication procedures, and aggressive maneuver doctrine cite Aricourt as validation of concepts. Modern military education continues to study Aricourt extensively. The U.S. Army Armor School at Fort Benning, now Fort Moore, includes the battle in its advanced course curriculum according to course materials. The case study emphasizes that tactical skill and combined arms integration can overcome technological inferiority, a lesson relevant to contemporary military challenges. Academic historians consistently rank Aricourt among the most significant armored engagements of World War II. Stephen Zaloga's Armored Champion concludes, "The Battle of Aricourt definitively proved that the Sherman, in the hands of well-trained crews employing sound tactics, was a match for any German tank." The 11-to-1 kill ratio achieved by the 4th Armored Division remains one of the most lopsided victories in armored warfare history. British military historian Max Hastings in Armageddon, The Battle for Germany 1944-45, places Aricourt in strategic context. The destruction of German armored reserves in Lorraine, particularly at Aricourt, eliminated any possibility of sustained German counteroffensive operations in the West. The battle's outcome fundamentally altered the strategic balance in favor of Allied forces. The broader implications for military theory are documented in professional military journals. A 2010 article in Military Review, published by the U.S. Army Combined Arms Center, analyzed Arakort's lessons for contemporary warfare. The 4th Armored Division's victory validates the principle that superior command and control, enabled by better communications technology and combined arms coordination, can overcome enemy advantages in individual weapons systems. A lesson applicable to modern network-centric warfare. The documented legacy of Arakort and the 4th Armored Division continues to inform military thinking today, offering timeless lessons about the nature of tactical excellence and the true meaning of combat superiority. The Battle of Arakort stands as documented proof of a fundamental military truth. Superior tactics, training, and combined arms integration defeat superior technology. The statistics tell an unambiguous story: 281 German tanks destroyed versus 25 American tanks lost. An 11-to-1 kill ratio. Achieved by supposedly inferior Sherman tanks against technically superior German armor. Validated by official records from both sides and confirmed by post-war historical analysis. But the deeper lesson, emphasized in every military educational institution that studies this battle, goes beyond statistics. German tank crews at Arakort possessed better armor, bigger guns, longer-range firepower, every technical advantage. They lost because the 4th Armored Division's crews possessed something technology couldn't provide. Superior tactical doctrine, better coordination, more aggressive leadership, and the flexibility to adapt faster than their enemy. Major General John S. Wood's personal papers include a letter written to his division after the battle, preserved at the Army Heritage Center. You have proven that American soldiers, American training, and American fighting spirit are superior to any enemy, regardless of their equipment advantages. Never forget, wars are won by warriors, not by weapons. This lesson remains relevant today, as documented in modern military doctrine and professional education. In an era of technological competition and concern about adversary weapons systems, Arakort reminds us that human factors, training, leadership, doctrine, coordination, ultimately determine battlefield outcomes. The U.S. Army's current emphasis on combined arms operations, network-centric warfare, and aggressive maneuver warfare traces directly to lessons validated at Arakort. If this story of tactical brilliance overcoming technical disadvantage fascinated you, hit that subscribe button. Next video we're covering another shocking World War II reversal. Japanese admirals called American torpedoes defective, until submarine doctrine changed everything. You'll learn how American submarine crews overcame catastrophically faulty weapons through sheer tactical innovation to devastate the Japanese merchant fleet. Drop a comment. What other World War II battles deserve deep dive analysis examining how tactical excellence overcame material disadvantages? Your suggestions help shape future content focused on bringing documented military history to life. The documentary evidence is clear, preserved in archives across 3 continents. German tank crews laughed at American Shermans before Arakort. After Arakort, according to captured German tactical directives, they were ordered to avoid engaging American armor whenever possible. That transformation, from contempt to caution, tells you everything about the 4th Armored Division's documented dominance. Military history proves, never underestimate American tactical innovation, aggressive leadership, and the fighting spirit of soldiers who refuse to accept defeat regardless of technical odds.